The rain had begun before sunset, a slow drizzle that coated the streets of Harrington Town in a silver film. The street lamps flickered to life one by one, and the small stores closed early. In a corner house at the end of Ashridge Lane, a single window glowed, faintly, like the pulse of something alive yet dying. Inside, Eleanor Whitmore lit a candle, the same black candle she had sworn never to touch again. It had been 7 years since her grandmother's death, and 7 years since the candle was last seen. She remembered that day with perfect clarity. The day she learned that the candle was not wax, but something older, darker. Her grandmother had always said, "Never light it for comfort. It only burns when it's called." Eleanor had thought it was a poetic warning, one of those cryptic things old people say before passing. But tonight, as thunder rolled over the hills and the power lines snapped dead, Eleanor realized she no longer had a choice. The town had been plagued with disappearances lately, children, pets, even adults, vanishing without trace. Every missing person had been last seen under flickering lights, near the edge of darkness. The police blamed wild animals, but Eleanor knew better. The candle had been whispering to her for weeks, from its box beneath the stairs, through layers of dust and time. When she lit it, the flame was cold. It burned a colorless hue, twisting shadows into long, reaching arms. The room filled with an odor like burnt rose petals and iron. She felt the house stir, the wood groaned, and the photographs on the wall seemed to shift, the faces inside them smiling just a little too widely. Her heartbeat slowed, her breath caught, and from within the flame came a whisper. "You called me back." Eleanor stepped back. "I didn't call anyone," she said, though her voice trembled. The whisper turned into a soft laugh. "You always do, Eleanor. Every time you remember me, I return. Memory is the wick, and fear is the wax." Then the light around her dimmed further, the world shrinking to the candle's radius. And from that shadow emerged a shape, human-like, but made entirely of darkness, with hollow eyes that shimmered with silver smoke. It tilted its head and smiled. "You kept me waiting," it said. Eleanor's knees weakened. "What do you want?" "What I always wanted. To finish what your grandmother started." Her grandmother, Adelaide Whitmore, had been a reputed medium in the early 1900s, famous for her seances. But beneath the fame had been tragedy, her husband's mysterious death, her son's madness, her eventual vanishing. Eleanor had grown up in the same house, surrounded by whispers that Adelaide had summoned something she couldn't control, that something was standing before her now. The entity circled her slowly, the candlelight bending around it. "Adelaide promised me 3 souls," it said softly. "She gave me 2. I have been waiting for the 3rd. Eleanor shook her head. "No, I won't do this." "You already have," the voice murmured, pointing at the candle. "When the flame burns black, the pact is reopened." And then the flame did turn black, so deep that even the darkness around it looked pale. The whispering in the room grew louder, echoing from the walls. Names, memories, moments she had never lived flooded her mind. Children crying, Adelaide chanting, the smell of salt water and blood. She saw her grandmother standing before the same candle, holding the hand of a child, her own son, as shadows devoured him. Eleanor screamed and the vision snapped. "You see," the creature said, "this is your inheritance." Lightning flashed, revealing that the shape now had substance. Pale skin stretched too tight, long fingers, eyes that shimmered like obsidian. It looked human, but wrong, like a painting smudged by trembling hands. "Why me?" Eleanor whispered. "Because you remember. Memory binds blood, and because love always makes the strongest key." It reached toward her cheek, and when it touched her, her skin turned cold. Images flashed again, her grandmother weeping, burying something beneath the oak tree, whispering a name. Eleanor stumbled backward, clutching the table. "Get out," she cried. "Leave me alone." But the entity smiled. "You lit the candle, child. You invited me home." The room began to change. The furniture warped, the walls twisted, and the air grew heavy with the stench of decay. Shadows crawled like insects across the floor. Eleanor ran to the door, but when she opened it, the world outside was gone, replaced by an endless corridor lined with mirrors. Each mirror reflected a different version of her. Young, old, broken, dead. The candle floated in the air beside her, its flame steady. "Choose," said the voice. "Choose what?" "Which you I will take." One of you must stay with me forever. Eleanor's mind fractured under the weight of it. She closed her eyes, trembling. No, I won't choose. Then I will. From one of the mirrors, a hand burst out, pale and cold, grabbing her wrist. She screamed, pulling back, but the glass didn't shatter. Instead, it rippled like water. The hand pulled harder, dragging her forward. Inside the mirror, she saw herself, but smiling, eyes dark as the candle flame. Don't fight, the reflection whispered. It's easier if you let go. Eleanor gasped. You're not me. Oh, but I am, the reflection said. I'm the you that remembers everything. She was pulled into the glass. The sensation was suffocating, like falling through ink. When she opened her eyes again, she was standing in the same house, but older. The walls were covered in black wax, dripping from the ceiling. The candle sat on the table, its flame now steady and strong. And the mirror showed her, on the other side, pounding, screaming, trapped. The voice spoke again, from everywhere and nowhere. A trade has been made. The line continues. No, Eleanor screamed, slamming her fists against the mirror. But her reflection only smiled and stepped away. Days passed, or maybe years. The candle never went out. Visitors came, townsfolk who had heard rumors about the witch's house, and each time, the black candle was lit again. Each time, someone vanished. Decades later, in 2023, the house was declared abandoned. The police boarded it up, and most of Harrington Town forgot it even existed. But on certain stormy nights, people still claimed to see a faint light glowing behind the broken window, the color of cold fire. Then came Lily, a university student studying folklore. She had grown up hearing stories about the Whitmore curse and wanted to write her thesis on it. She arrived one rainy afternoon with a camera, a backpack, and a notebook. The boards were easy to pry off. The air inside was still thick with dust and something else, the faint smell of roses and iron. Lily set up her tripod in the living room. This is day one, she said into her camera. Local legend says this house belonged to Adelaide Whitmore, a medium who vanished in 1924. Rumor claims a black candle inside this house holds her spirit. I'm here to find out if that's true. She turned her flashlight toward the table. There it was, the candle, still intact, sitting in the same place, its wick perfectly preserved. Her heart pounded. This can't be real, she whispered, reaching out. When she touched it, the wick was warm. Her camera flickered. Okay, she said nervously, forcing a laugh. Maybe there's an explanation. The power in her camera cut off. The screen went black. And then, behind her, a whisper, "You called me back." She froze. Who's there? A reflection appeared in the cracked glass of the window. A woman standing just behind her, face pale, eyes dark, wearing clothes from another century. Lily spun around, but there was no one there. Her breath came in short gasps. Okay, this is not funny. She turned to leave, but the front door was gone. In its place was that same corridor lined with mirrors. She screamed and dropped her flashlight. It rolled across the floor, casting wild light over the walls. Every mirror now showed her, but each version was different. One crying, one laughing, one covered in black wax. And in the farthest reflection, she saw Eleanor, or what was left of her, holding the candle. The voice whispered again, "Memory is the wick, and fear is the wax." Lily began to run, but the floor gave way beneath her feet. She fell into darkness, clutching at nothing. When she hit the ground, it was soft, like ash. Around her, countless black candles flickered, stretching endlessly into the void. And among them stood Eleanor, her eyes hollow, her voice barely human. "You shouldn't have come," Eleanor said. "It needs someone new." "What are you?" Lily asked, her voice trembling. "I was you," Eleanor said simply. "And soon you'll be me." Lily backed away, shaking her head. "No, I'm leaving." But behind her, the whisper turned into a roar. The candles all flared at once, their flames merging into a vast, shadowy form. It loomed over her, its voice echoing through the void. 3 souls. The pact is complete. The darkness surged forward. Lily screamed, but the sound was swallowed. And then silence. When the sun rose over Harrington Town the next morning, the house stood quiet. The window glowed faintly, as it always had. Inside, the table was set with 2 candles now, one old, one new. Both black. Both burning. Some say the house is cursed. Others say it's a mirror, one that shows the price of remembering. But if you stand outside on a stormy night and listen closely, you can hear the faint whisper of two voices. You called me back. I never stopped. And in the window, for just a second, a third flame flickers to life.